will bring on board issues, not to talk politics, by the way. We leave politics for the 9 o'clock hour and talk about something that actually bothers on, societal norms, values, morals, and what have you. All right. So just this morning, in the course of the pages, I'm very sure that a number of family members actually got up to speed with the headline, which I must say has been sparking across socials and even on the streets, talking about thugs beating up a teacher for preventing students from cheating during WAEC examinations. Now, the thugs did not just, go to the school to grab this principal or teacher and, just like beat him to a pulp. It was actually the handiwork of a parent, right? So here is a story. A vice principal identified as Mr. Rotifa was reportedly attacked by hired thugs for preventing a student from using a mobile phone to cheat during the ongoing West Africa examination, or West African Senior School Certificate examination in Ondo State. The incident occurred last week at Child Development College, a privately owned school located in Aule, Akure North local government area. Now, sources actually told the Daily Trust newspaper that the thugs, allegedly hired by the student's parents, ambushed Mr. Rotifa after he confiscated the phone during an exam session. The student's mother was said to have previously threatened to attack any staff member who refused to allow her son to cheat, prompting outrage among concerned parents. Now, the school reportedly ignored the initial threat until the attackers waylaid and severely beat the vice principal, who also teaches in the school, leaving him hospitalized. The incident on Monday, the Ondo State Ministry of Education said an investigation has been launched, and a statement by Dairo Obajulai, Director of Schools at the ministry, said the student was caught with an Android phone during the exam in violation of school rules, and the device was seized. Consequently, the vice principal was actually beaten to a pulp. It's actually this kinds of things just goes to tell you the decay, the rot that we have in the system. All right, the moral standards, they are reducing on a daily basis, and I do not think it would be right to say that everyone is turning a blind eye to it. There are people who are bold enough to have these conversations on a daily basis, very thought conversations around, acts like this on a daily basis. And most of the time, they are rebuked for not removing the scale off their own eyes before wanting to remove it from someone else's eyes. But right now, this particular story is out there in the public, and I'm glad that the national dailies actually took it up and it has been cross-published. So what exactly do we do with this kind of situation as a people? Beyond condemnation, right? Beyond backlashing and tongue lashing, if you like, the parents. Beyond calling for a thorough investigation to be carried out. Beyond calling for punitive measures to be meted. What do you really think we can do forward, if you like, so that we don't have things like this repeat, themselves in the future? And it's more disturbing that this is even coming from a place of learning, honestly, a school. And we know that WAEC has actually come under fire simply because exams were actually written late in the night. And according to WAEC, in a bid to also defend its own action, is saying that, look, we had to do that because the papers were actually leaked. We're trying to guard against every form of malpractice in the course of the exams. Now you have a student go to an exam center with his mobile phone. In fact, a smartphone at that. You can actually browse with it to get answers to questions if you like. And I'm just wondering why the parents would even take it upon themselves to hire thugs. Like, you hired these thugs and you probably paid them to go beat up the vice principal. And the thugs, as foolish as they are, they also jumped on the offer, went waylaid the principal and beat the principal to a pulp. It's a lot really to deal with. The parents, the student, the thugs. And is it possible that I don't know, I don't even know what to say right now, honestly. But this is certainly not a good time to be a teacher. For real. It's more like your life is now on the line. When you try to scold a child or anything is done, you get beaten up. Like people just hire thugs. That is just the height of it, for real. So now, would like to get your 2 cents on this, dear listener, as to what you make of this trend. This is probably not the first time this is happening, but let's just assume that cases like this are underreported. How best can we deal with issues like this? And what is the way forward? It's not like there are no guidelines. There are guidelines that you're not supposed to be with your own. So why break the rules? Why violate the guidelines on ground? Call us on 09073530044 or 09087668888. Send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal number on 090970544 and 50. This is the conversation we're having on the General Open Banter this morning. You can also follow the conversation on YouTube and Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja. Tell us your 2 cents. What do you make of this? Should we blame the parents, the student, or the thugs for jumping at the offer? Like, it's a deal. They're probably going to get paid for it. And you know this excuse of, there is hunger, there is poverty, there is hardship, and what have you. So who's taking the bulk of the blame here? Is it the parent? Is it the student or the thugs? Who takes the blame? And what is can this issue be addressed? Hello and good morning to you.
Hello.
Good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from? Hello. Okay, please do to call back on 09073530044 or 09087668888. Send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal number on 090970544 and 50. What do you make of this? And for parents, as a parent that you have your children, maybe in primary or secondary, or even tertiary education. Is this something you would want to do? Is this also part of love? Because some will tell you, I love my child so much, I don't want them to fail their exams, probably because they don't have a retentive memory or whatever. So you have to do whatever it takes to aid and abet, a malpractice, exam malpractice, just in the favor of your children. Is this something you would actually want to justify as a parent? And as a youth, or as a Nigerian that you are, how much of a concern is this to you? Beyond the condemnations, pouring in from different quarters, how best can we deal with this for real? Because you recall also the case of, she is now very popular, but there's a case of a girl somewhere in Delta, if I'm not mistaken. I think her name is Success, where she was sent back from school because her parents had not paid her fees at the time. And you need to see the utterances this little girl actually made. And it made her, popular. It actually blew her up. They go flog, they go tire. I don't know. We tend to encourage and promote things that would have grave implications on our, societal values, our moral standards in the long run, whether for fun or for whatever reason, but something really needs to be done about it, whether we like it or not. Good morning to you. Hello, good morning. All right, that's a miss. Also, please do to call back. The studio lines are still very much open on 09073530044 or 09087668888. What are your thoughts? We just go pay this bill. When we return, best believe the studio lines will still be open for you to call in. Indulge us. Tell us what you make of this. As a parent, as a child who is still in school, what do you make of this? And also chart the way forward, most importantly. Do join us again.
Please listen to this announcement. Farex Borehole. We are competent. We are committed. We simplify borehole for your borehole survey, for your borehole drilling, or any of your borehole challenges. Call us on 080-3596-5170. 080-3596-5170. You can visit our office at Goshen Plaza, opposite Jabi Motor Park, Abuja.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
All right, we are back like we never left. Still the general open banter right here on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, your radio experience that you can always count on. Hello and good morning to you. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning to you.
Good morning. My name is Sarah James.
All right,
I'm calling
Sarah.
from Suleja.
All right, could you please turn down the volume of your radio set? Because the feedback is not nice at all.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, please. So go ahead, tell us, what do you make of this story?
What the parent did is very, very bad. It's not encouraging. They are not setting good examples at all for their child to follow. Because when the child grow up, probably he will get married. And that is how he will be bullying his wife and all that. Because the parents are not setting good track for him to follow. So it's not right. And concerning that teacher, I believe the school management should take drastic action. That child should be expelled or should be dealt with.
Okay.
So that's my own take.
How about the thugs? They should be let, like that?
No, they should be arrested as well. They should be dealt with so that others can learn from their acts.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. Okay. The students should be expelled. The thugs should be arrested. Well, the parents didn't do well, according to Sarah. But if you were to suggest a very strong punitive measure to serve as deterrent to others, what would it be in cases like this? 09073530044 or 09087668888. These are the numbers to call. Send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal number on 09097054450. Now, also Francis Namani, watching us live from Amangunze in Enugu State, says, greetings from here. Our educational sector needs to be repositioned in order to get things right. Okay. Repositioned in what sense exactly? But thank you so much for that message. Now, this is not a case of the education sector not having, guidelines in place. In this case, the parents are the ones, to be held responsible for all of this, controversy. Because the principal only, did his bid. And as a vice principal, rather, he said, it is not allowed for you to be with your phone. I mean, you're here to write an exam. So what are you doing with your phone? Where is it even done? It is not it's not like a mock exam that is most of the time conducted by the school internally. All right? This is WAEC. So what are you doing there with your phone? And even if it happens to be like mock exams, you're not really supposed to be with your phone. That is why it is called an exam. So why it's a bit complicated if you ask me. But we're still looking at the way forward, honestly. What is the way forward? How best can this anomaly be addressed in a more decisive way, such that any parent out there who is probably contemplating, who is actually nursing such idea or ideas, oh, okay, oh, they're about to write junior WAEC, for example. This is what I actually plan on doing. I'm going to lobby or team up with social teacher or the principal of the school to ensure that my child gets answers to all of the questions, or even get the exam questions leaked, because that seems to be the order of the day now. The chances are somewhat slim that for every external exams, the papers will not be leaked. Who is really responsible for that? How possible is it that these papers actually get leaked? How? Do we now, should we suggest that for WAEC code for JAM is actually computer based, but for whatever exams at all that our children or students are going to be sitting in for, there should be heavy presence of security operatives armed just to discourage cheating and malpractice. But don't you think that would actually scare the students? Don't you think so? You probably would say, "Oh no, there shouldn't be heavy, there shouldn't be presence of, security personnel on ground. It's just an exam. It's just an exam, and here we have thugs beating up a teacher to a pulp." It's really, really a very, very disturbing trend. Now, while returning from the search for the culprits, the group was ambushed, and the thugs dragged Mr. Rotifa from the police van and beat him before he was rescued and taken to the hospital. Imagine the guts. Imagine the guts. He was actually accompanied by 2 officers, and on their way back, the group was ambushed. The thugs actually dragged the principal, from the police van, and they beat him like mercilessly before he was rescued and taken to the hospital. So the school principal confirmed that Mr. Rotifa has been discharged but has not returned home due to fears of his safety. That's to tell you, there is more to this story. Hello, good morning.
Good morning once again, Umofe.
Yeah,
thank you. For Nepal.
Yes, please go ahead.
This topic is so irritating, not because of the topic not because it's a bad topic, but you can imagine if there is no teacher in this country, what will happen to unborn children? How can you do that type of act? Not because the teacher maltreated your child or whatever, but try to do the right thing. I know that I wrote WAEC myself. I did not get any favor from anybody, and I didn't write twice. Why? Where will this stop? I think you say, and then what's the way forward? I think the way forward is that there should be, from now, there should be a constitution that if this type of thing happens, that person should be jailed for life.
The student or the thug?
What do you say?
I'm asking, is it the student that will be going to jail, the thugs, or the parents?
Not the student. There's nobody who will be against the parents. The parents.
Okay.
Not the teacher. The parents.
Okay.
Because the child itself has no idea. It did not, mobilize the thugs to go and beat anybody. It is the parents. So the parent of that child, that student, be jailed. Life. I think the National Assembly need to ask about this immediately.
Okay.
It is very, very bad. Imagine, everybody, if this is happening everywhere, that therefore means we will not have teachers, because who will take that risk? What about that child? What about if he becomes a teacher in future? This is bad. And in fact, that news irritates me a lot.
Okay.
There should be a law. They should do something about this immediately before others. How can you go and beat up someone who's trying to do? This is bad.
It's really disturbing. All right, Honorable Edward, thank you so much. Speaking with so much passion there, Also coming from the place of a parent, right? So what is wrong should be condemned, I believe. And there is really no two ways about this. There is no mincing, words. This is absolutely wrong, all right? And if at the end of the day the parents are actually sent to jail, would you blame the authorities for doing that? I'm sure the answer would be no. Because this vice principal was actually beaten. Do you know what it means to be beaten to a pulp? Like he was pummeled, the face all swollen, eyes and lips. Come on. What if the vice principal actually lost his life in the process? What would happen afterwards? Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning.
Omega, good morning.
Good morning.
And happy new month to Eagle.
Right. Happy new month to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Network, calling from Sun City constituency.
Network. Very nice name. Much. All right, please go ahead.
The story is quite very unfortunate. And corruption has now been institutionalized. And every institution that is being corrupt, the security agencies who are supposed to check and make sure the law takes its place are tampering them. And that is why a lot of people are taking advantage of it, saying if this has been done, if the one person has done this and nothing happened to the person, I think let us see how I can do mine. A lot of children who are coming out of secondary schools now, if you see the way they write, the way they speak, they can't even express. Why? If you look behind, you discover that parents are behind most of what they write. So it's quite very pathetic. It's quite very unfortunate that such thing happened. It's quite very unfortunate.
Right. So what is the way forward? Oh dear, you might want to call back. All right, 09087 668888 or 09073530044. The voice note message to the WhatsApp portal number on 09097054450. And if you happen to be a teacher and you're monitoring this conversation right now, call in and tell us what you think. And if you have maybe suggestions on the way out, please feel free to let us in as well, because we're looking for solutions to the issue on ground, as opposed to just crying over a spilled milk. And what is also very disturbing is the fact that the mother of this student had actually, had previously rather threatened to attack any staff member who refused to allow her son to cheat, prompting outrage among concerned parents. I know that across schools in Nigeria, primary, secondary, they usually have this PTA association, that's the Parent Teachers Association, where they come together maybe at the end of every month to dialogue, to address pressing, concerns or issues. So if parents or concerned parents had actually expressed their reservations with the threat earlier made or issued by this particular parent, is it that the school was not proactive enough to take some, measures to forestall this? Could that be the case? Because I can't imagine that someone, would walk up to me, threaten me, and then I'll just let it slide. And then subsequently the person eventually come just manifest whatever he or she had, warned or threatened me about. It makes no sense. No threat, in fact, no matter how trivial it sounds, should be taken for granted. It shouldn't be taken for granted. So just maybe, let's just assume that the school authority did not alert the police that, a parent had actually come to the school premises to threaten, staff members, that whoever it is, be the principal, the vice principal, the teacher or teachers, whoever it is that stands in the way of her son, you want to be like an impediment. You don't want her son to cheat. That person will be dealt with. just maybe the school authority did not take the matter to the police, or did not report to the appropriate, authorities. But this should be a lesson, honestly, for every learning facility or place of learning, if you like to put it that way. Teachers should learn from this. School owners should learn from this. A parent should not come to your facility to threaten, teachers, or even threaten you as the owner of the school. Okay, the child actually does something wrong, and then you decide to scold the child or correct the child, and then the parents will come to you and start threatening, or even wanting to assault or even harass you. Like, how did we even get here as a society? How? Because one would say that back then, if a child should do something wrong and then the child actually gets flogged or rebuked, and the child returns home with scars, I'm not actually supporting teachers beating children carelessly in such a way that you leave wounds, injuries all over their bodies. No, but just do that in the most civil way, all right, if that makes any sense. So when the child returns home and probably crying or complain of pain or ache here and there, and then the parents would ask, what exactly did you do? Oh, my teacher actually flogged me. My teacher actually spanked me. What exactly did you do that made your teacher to flog you or even spank you? And then the child will say, oh, I stole someone's pen. I cheated, or you did this, or you did that. Some parents will say, oh, that's good. That's good. Then the following day, they'll go with the child to school and call on the teacher. You know what? This child told me yesterday that you actually flogged him or her for cheating or for stealing. So I think it's not enough. You need to spank him or her, or even flog him or her, even more in the presence of the whole, students or pupils or teachers. Do that publicly just to shame that child. When you do that, sometimes the child will not want to repeat such, offense or crime, because he or she would think of the humiliation, the embarrassment, But other times you'll say, oh, no, to affect the mental health of the child, it is wrong. How do you do that? We are always divided along, our thought patterns or lines. So it's more like we now normalizing this trend of do what works for you, but not in this case. Let's be very realistic about this. As a parent, in fact, there are parents who are also teachers. All right, so you're not just the one who is a parent. You're not the only one who is a parent in our society. There are parents, there are teachers who are also parents. So imagine someone does the same thing to you as a parent because you hired thugs to go beat up the vice principal. What if the children of that vice principal, maybe they have more access to bigger thugs and they hire them to come attack you? No. We're gonna be left with a very messy situation, a very messed up situation, honestly. And no one is calling for some sort of reprisal, but the good thing is investigation is ongoing. And one thing with investigation, it usually takes time, right? But at the end of the day, we need just one person to be a scapegoat so that others would learn. If not, acts like this will continue unabated. And it's really very disturbing, It is really, really very disturbing. But at the end of the day, dear listener, we're still looking at the way forward. We're still looking at the way forward. Will it even be intelligent to say that the parents or our parents, the crop of parents that we have in our society, they are the reason why there's been this decadence in moral standards? Are they the reason? Because spank a child right now for doing something wrong and the parents will come rebuke you. Why would you spank my child? It's my child. You have no right to even raise a finger on my child. But what your child actually did was absolutely wrong. So when children are at fault, should their parents, be consulted before they get rebuked? What if they happen to be parents who don't spank, who don't rebuke, who don't correct? Then it means the society might not be a good place for all of us in the next 2 years. Take it or leave it. Anyhow, the studio lines are still open, and sometimes when you start talking and talking, you get carried away, forgetting, if possible, that you're actually having this conversation with someone on the other side of the radio. You must forgive me, all right? And call back if you can, 09073530044 or 09087668888. These are the numbers to call. You can send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal number on 090970544 and 50. And I'll also like, this now on the other side of the radio, that you can have a playback on this conversation, all right? Get your hands on this videos on YouTube and Facebook, right? Have a playback, watch, analyze, leave a comment, and if possible, recommend, that this video be watched by school owners, teachers, and parents also. Because I think there's a lot of unlearning, that these are parents actually need to do, right? I'm not generalizing now, but some of our parents, they really need to unlearn certain things and relearn if possible, because it is absurd. You even had the guts to go to the school prior to the exams to threaten to attack any staff member who would stand in the way of your child, So you are now encouraging cheating. You're not encouraging exam malpractice. Like, could that also be the way that parent was raised? So that is it. When we talk about a broken system, if you don't nip it in the bud, if you don't address it, especially as it happens, then it's going to just, continue like that. So the cycle continues just like that. So some of the issues we're dealing with, some of the societal issues that we're dealing with, is just as a result of no strong, stringent, punitive measures to address the root cause, right? And that's why it has now grown very big and thick in such a way that when you now want to start addressing the issue or the issues as they are, you would require help, not just from your fellow man, but you'd also require the help of God to deal with the issue. But at the end of the day, we cannot continue like this, because should this trend continue, I do not think people will be able to walk freely on the streets, because anybody can just walk up to you and give you a hot slap on your face if care is not taken. And should you try to rebuke, you would also get rebuked. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. At the end of the day, this should be a wake-up call to school owners, to teachers, and to parents, that we all have a role to play. Beyond complaining that the moral standard is already dropping, something needs to be done. I know there's a place of prayer. We must pray, right? But we all have a role to play. Let us fulfill that part, that responsibility of you being a parent, you being a guardian, you being a caregiver. Ensure that the right thing is done at all times. Now, at this juncture, I would even want to call on the NUT, the Nigerian Union of Teachers, to also prevail on the relevant stakeholders that whatever investigation you're actually carrying, should be very, very, fast about it, and also carry the public along too, because people are really interested. They would like to know the outcome and the end of this whole controversy. My name is Omoefe Peace Osemere, and I'd like to say a very big thank you to each and every one of you for keeping us company on the show this morning. Those who called in to share their 2 cents, those who actually sat back to just listen and maybe have a great time listening, thank you also for spending part of your time with us. This is Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Good morning.